And my exposure and introduction to Chint happened when I used to work with Civic Solar, my prior company, as a distributor. And I remember it as an inverter provider for the CNI space. But now, based on our recent conversations, I'm aware that you guys are expanding beyond that, expanding into full solutions. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about like why this transition is happening in your focus and how things have evolved as it relates to the products that Chint was selling in the US solar market, and how are, yeah, let's talk about those higher voltage products and
Yeah, yeah. So,
what's driving the need for all of that.
yeah, so let's start back. So the North American business was really started about 2012, and that
Mhm.
was bringing transformerless string inverters to the market here in the US. This was a change that had already been adopted in areas like Europe, in Germany. Um, so there
Mhm.
was a code change in the National Electric Code here in the U.S. For what they was referred to as ungrounded PV systems. So you
Mhm.
no longer had to use inverters that had an isolation transformer to isolate the DC from the AC, and the PV array was no longer grounded. Typically, everything had to be grounded, either DC positive or DC negative. And with the advent of string inverters, we introduced that to the market, and we had 14 and 20 kilowatt models were kind of the first ones that are brought to the market, really aimed at CNI, just kind of early adoption of this type of product in these markets. And those markets have essentially grown, and we developed other models. We now have a 25 kilowatt through a 60 kilowatt aimed at CNI. These are 1,000-volt DC products. But the old 14 and 20 were only 600-volt DC models. But then as the code cycle changes and the open circuit voltage that's allowed to be used for PV systems, evolved, then it became 1,000-volt. So there was a lot of people that were using these for commercial rooftop, big box stores, but also using these 1,000-volt inverters for what they referred to as small utility scale applications, where they were grouping, say 30 or 40 inverters into a single step-up transformer through a, switchboard and so forth.